Everyone seems to want to know some skincare tips from an esthetician. I'm your gal. I'm going to be sharing some of my favorite personal tips that hopefully you at home or out there in the professional world will also take and use for yourself. There are a couple of things. I hope I get them all. The list can go for real, so I will actually keep it as short as I can, possibly. And then I will also share some of my personal favorite products that I'm using right now that I'm using in my own home care routine as my own personal tips for you. So I think one of the first things to always remember is your skincare is an investment for yourself. So you also want to be considering the time you're willing to invest in taking good care of your skin at home or in a professional setting, of course, for your clients, but it is always in that space of what will I really do versus what I really want to do in my blue sky thinking. So a great tip here is really thinking about what you're existingly doing every day, what your routine is already set at. Are you already cleansing your skin? Are you already putting a moisturizer and an SPF? That's already 3 steps that you have already committed to do. So this is what I'm talking about, but your skincare is an investment in yourself as well, and your time is important. So think about allocating the time, the best time to do things, and the amount of product that you're really willing to actually do. And then personally, for my tip was I started slow and I grew. So I knew my commitment was cleansing for sure. I could definitely commit to cleansing my skin, toning my skin, putting a serum on and a protection SPF in the day, and then doing that same routine and then flipping it to a night cream. And then as I became more confident and where I knew that I was actually going to be using my investment, so the products that I would purchase, then I would start adding in what's going to be my weekly addition, exfoliation, masking, etc. So that's my first thing for all of us to be considering when thinking about your routine and as I'm sharing my tips with you today. So one, it's an investment and it's a time investment for you, so make sure that they are aligning product with the time you actually have. Now that that's all aside, what are some of my tips on what you can do during that time? Number 1, your product itself. Don't put your fingers in the jar. Make sure you're using a spatula or something to dispense out of your product and not going back in and out. That way then there's no risk of, I know you don't want to hear any cross-contamination or any situation. I know for anyone who uses mascaras and lip products, we don't share our products with other people, so just be mindful about taking really good care of your products. Some of our products, one of my favorite tips is I love taking really good care of my eyes, so for product care, pop my eye cream in the fridge. That way then it's nice and cool and refreshing. Now again, if you remember it's in the fridge, that's great. If you're not one to remember that your products are in the fridge, that's okay. Just keep them as normal. But you can like cool down the temperature of the skin, which I'll tell you a couple tips that you can do that in just a few minutes. So we have what you can do with your products. Storing them, tips there too. Keep it out of the sunlight, and I avoid keeping any of my products in my shower. That way then there's no extra moisture or heat added to the product. If I want to use the shower as a tool, then I'll apply product like a mask before I jump into the shower and allow when I'm in the shower to then rinse off the product. So that is one way that you can incorporate your products while you are multitasking, like taking a shower, or if you are someone who loves to take a bath, you can then put a mask on while you're taking the bath. So that is one. So speaking of multi-using, think about products that might have dual action or multi-functionality to them. This is something that I personally love doing, and I think I've heard from lots of estheticians when we're giving advice to our clients, is time. Remember that time I was telling you about? We want to really make the most of it and be really efficient in it. So thinking about your cleanser, do you want it to also clean the skin? Maybe it needs to do a deeper cleansing. Let's say you wear more makeup. You want to have a little bit of exfoliation action in there, so help making the skin feel really smooth after. So you could have a cleanser that has a little grit in it, so something that has some granule, or you can have cleansers that don't have that in it and then work more with something like a lactic acid, for example. So we can work with that. So think dual purpose. We also have masks that will exfoliate the skin. So it's kind of combining 2 steps in one. Looking for a moisturizer that has an SPF in it. So that's also a dual purpose product. So really considering that, and that's a great tip for me, and especially for those of us who love to travel, we want to always bring our skincare with us. So that's where those dual products really come in handy, because you can take less with you and get just as much done. So those are some of my travel and storage and usage and looking at dual products. The other thing I think is really important is finding time to do that little extra step to really take your skin to the next level to reach your goals. So what if you are trying to minimize redness because your skin is so dry? What if you have, you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, I have a little blemish coming up. What can you do? So think about the products that are going to give you more of an immediate action, that is going to target something that you're really working towards in a goal to minimize or to replenish or to bring that glow back to your skin. So for me personally, and I think most estheticians will agree, masks are going to be your best friend. Now I know you're probably looking at me going, I don't have 20 minutes. I don't want to sit around with cucumbers on my eyes. I love to call it, this is my endearment calling of it, is I call them micromasking, which means that I have about 3 different masks that I like to use at home that target specific things. I have one that I love that gives me a little bit of pep and brightness to my skin. I have one that gives me a little bit more deep moisture for plumping. And I also have one that's going to really fight a little bit more of the signs of aging, like fine lines and wrinkles. I really like to go there. So I divide up my micro treatments through the week, and I don't need to use as much time. So some of you who are not familiar with Eminence masks, what make them so amazing is that you don't need a lot of it when you're applying, and they don't need to stay on the skin for any longer than 10 minutes to get the benefit. So you're talking micro, I do them in 3 to 5 minutes. I do power masking every week, and I'll alternate the masks that I have at home depending on what my skin is telling me that morning when I look in the mirror. And yes, you heard I said morning. I really think a really optimal time to do a quick mask is in the morning. You can do it at night, fine, but if you want to really see that benefit, the plumping, the firming, the extra glow that you're trying to achieve, do it in the morning before you start your day. So those are some ways for you to incorporate it. Other great things to consider are tools. You may have heard me a few times on our in the Mix channel here, is that we have gua sha. I have my ice globes that I used to use. But what if you don't have any of these things? All you need is cold water and your hands and a sink. You can do what I like to call cold water rinsing or splashing at the end of your cleansing routine. So you've cleansed your skin and now you're going to rinse it off. You could do a little bit of tepid water first just to help lift the product off the skin, and then you want a final splash with some cool water. That's going to help tighten everything up and minimize the appearance of your pores, but it's also a bit of a fresh up. It gives a little bit of energy and really helps you begin your day. By all means, go for it at night if you like to. And I think one of the biggest tips and takeaway here, better to cool the skin than using too much of a hot water when you're rinsing. So stay with that warm, tepid. You can use washcloths, you can use cleansing pads that they might have, like these little mitts I've seen that do a little extra exfoliate. By all means, go for it. Just don't overdo it. All right. There's a bunch more. I know there's a bunch more in my mind, but I hope this gets you started. So before I actually go through some of my favorite products and my must-haves in my routine, don't forget to hit subscribe and that notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. All right, so my must-have esthetician big skincare tips that I think all of us should have. 1, get a good cleanser, as I mentioned. 2, I look at my micro masking products. So I brought one of my near and dear favorites because it is essential for skin anyway, no matter who you are. I have my Citrus and Kale Potency and E-Mask. You may have heard me talk about this before. It applies just like a beautiful egg white. It tightens up awesome on my skin, and then as soon as I remove it, it's like I've slept for 8 hours and nobody would even know. Super bright. And I also like to wear some makeup during the day, so I find that if I do really good masks, that especially the vitamin C1, C and E, Citrus and Kale Potency and E-Mask, this is a really easy one to do. All of you can do easily. Oh yeah, another tip, don't forget to do your neck and the décolleté area. All of this is important that you're doing at the same time. Another one is a weekly treatment. something that I'm going to do a little bit more, a little bit of a pick-me-up, our turmeric energizing treatment. If you've not had a chance to try this, remember I was talking about dual or multi-purpose? This is like exfoliating, it's a mask, it brightens, it really brings a lot of energy to the skin, and it has a little secret in here. It actually does a warming to the skin without changing or flushing the skin itself. This is a gem, literally. I would definitely recommend all of you give this a try. Super fun, a little bit of a mixing and have a good time with it. You can definitely apply it and rinse it really well. So please, consider it. It's a really great pick-me-up. Here you go. You heard me talk about the citrus and kale mask just a moment ago. The vitamin C, the citrus and kale serum. So serums are used every single day before you put on a moisturizer. This is going to be my guaranteed force field. This is a non-negotiable for me and a great esthetician tip for all of you in your skincare, because vitamin C and E are quite essential for your routine every day. So please pick one of these up. Now, if you've known me too, when I like to do my tools, or I do gua sha, or want to spend a little extra time, maybe do some depuffing with some pressure points or a little bit of lymphatic work, I need some Glide. And if I want to do that, you can never go wrong with a face oil. And today I've brought up my favorite, my liquid gold, the facial recovery oil. This is something that pretty much all skin types can handle. So as a tip to all of you, if you're looking for an oil to try for the first time, this one would be a really great place to begin. 1-2 drops is all you need. I think that's also what I love. Looking for products that you don't need to use a lot of, that will have mileage. Remember, your skincare is an investment. So this is a beautiful piece to invest in your home care. And then as a finishing product, besides wearing an SPF during the day, I need to think about my night routine. So my last tip, I think when it comes to my products that I want to apply, is at night, at the end of my day, after a full cleanse, make sure my skin is ready to go, I am going to select a moisturizer that is going to hit one of my goals. So in this case, I have the Marine Flower Peptide Night Cream. I will use this as my finisher, and even has enough Glide that if I want to do a little extra care of a little gua sha, or even I could do my cryo tools with my globes to really set it in and make it all happen. If you want to learn a little bit more about my personal morning routine, head over here and watch this video.